Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Youth Man. Today's gonna be an awesome day. I've got some friends over that are gonna help me bring in a pair of SVS dual PB16 Ultra subwoofers. Before we get into the video, if you're into home theater, audio and video, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bell notification so that you'll be notified when the next video drops. If you've been following the channel, you know that I've been reviewing the dual SB16 Ultras. The SB16 is the sealed version of their flagship Ultra subwoofer. So today we're going to get both of these in here. We'll do a quick unboxing of one of them and then we'll bring them into the theater, do some testing, and we'll let you know what we think about them. So let's get into it. Alright, this box is quite a bit heavier. This is 175 pounds versus 122 pounds. So we're going to get this thing unboxed here. We'll cut up here first. That. Open up the other side the same way. Open that up. I'm going to go ahead and pull these out. These little plastic pieces will get in the way as we're sliding it out, so that'll just make it easier. Since this speaker weighs a lot more than the other one, then you're going to come in on the other side. Just like that. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep going. There we go. All right, now I'm going to take about a 15-minute break. Catch my breath. All right, that's the rear of the sub. Okay, this is a lot of work moving these things around. Especially on carpet, it doesn't slide. All right, so up top, got a manual, got a remote, got a side. In here, I'm out of breath, I'll be honest with you. There we got our power cable. I'm gonna pull these sides off first. All right, get there. Lid off. Holy cow. Y'all seeing what I'm seeing? Dang. I thought I ordered a subwoofer. This is a refrigerator. Holy cow. All right. So now we gotta figure out, oh, that's right. Let's do this. We'll pull this out of the way. The metal grill. That's pretty wild. Here's our 3 port plugs. Get those off to the side. Then the easiest way, this is separated down here. I say easy, because it's easier with the other one. I'll lift up a little bit. We can pull that out of the way. We'll do the same thing on this side. All right, now not only does SVS come with a 45-day in-home trial period, I think they're starting to give some coupons to chiropractic services because this beast is heavy. Now, I've really been liking what I've been hearing with the SB16s, which is the sealed version. But honestly, I've been hearing so much good about the ported version and how much more output you get. I'm really excited to get these fired up and see how they sound. All right, you guys ready? Moment of truth. This is in piano black finish, like the other ones. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Man, woo! That is exciting, but holy cow! I've got to hide these before the wife gets home because she will be freaking out. They are large and in charge. Same plate amp on the back. Basically, biggest difference that I know of on this, got a lot of the same features, same DSP on the inside, same control panel, much larger cabinet. We'll actually pair these side by side with the SB16s so you can see physically how much difference. I'm still sucking wind, man. This is rough. Woo! And then we got our 3 ports down here, which of course increases the height of the subwoofer. And then the depth, you know, part of that is the length of the ports that are inside. So, all right guys, we're gonna get these loaded up. We're gonna take them in the theater room. So we'll be back in just a few moments after we get both of them set up.
So you want to set her down on the side? That way we can take the feet off. So I'll mark up here. Just go ahead and do that.
It is spin on.
Oh, okay. Oops. That's my nose. I picked that.
I'm gonna take the feet off. It makes it easier to slide around on the carpet.
Yeah. We could probably gonna have to pull it up the other way.
You good there?
What's this?
You got yours, Mark.
Oops. Oh, no, that one went under.
All right.
I mean, might be better this way.
I want to show you guys.
Yeah,
There's no comparison.
No.
Okay, you gotta see this.
Wow. That size, amazing. Who's gonna be the brave one to sit right here?
Oh my God. So I'm gonna put these front.
Yeah, because that's the shot that you always see.
Yeah.
The one you don't see is this one.
Yeah, so I'm gonna show you guys. I want you guys to see the difference here. Let me zoom all the way out. I am all the way out. I'm on a wide angle and it's still not wide enough. Okay, so here we are looking right at the SB16 on the left, which is the sealed version, compared to the PB16 on the right. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of difference in height. Quite a bit of difference in depth. So you can see there. Now if I squat down, you'll see how much higher the PB is compared to the SB. Both of them look gorgeous. This was big. That's monster. All right guys, before we continue with the video, I just want to give a huge shout out and a big thank you to SVS. Now SVS didn't sponsor this video or any other video that I have on my channel, nor have I received any sponsorships from any manufacturers. But SVS has been absolutely incredible to work with through this entire process. Not only have they been willing to send me their SVS Ultra Towers, their SVS Ultra Center Channel, dual SB16 subwoofers, but they were also gracious enough to send me at the same time the dual PB16 Ultra subwoofers. They've given me as a content creator the discretion of what to review and what that process looks like and what I felt that you guys would be interested in the most. And so they've been incredible to work with. And so again, I just want to say thank you so much to SVS. You guys are incredible and you're making some great products. Now I also want to kind of throw out this disclaimer. As of right now, the fellas that came over to help me review and help me to set up and demo and unbox, they have since gone home. Of course, I would have loved to have filmed a lot of the stuff that we went through and the demos that we did, but the reality is it just takes up so much time to do filming like this. I didn't want to eat away at their time. Both of them had already driven an hour and a half each to be here to help me, to set up, to hang out, to demo. And so I valued their time and I didn't want to take up any demo time with camera work. So during the rest of this video, I just want to share with you our thoughts, some things that we experienced, what did we demo, what did we try. So I want to share with you our thoughts of how did the SB16s compare to the PB16s. So before the unboxing of the dual PB16 Ultras, we spent about an hour in the theater room just listening to the SB16s paired up with the Ultra Towers and the Ultra Center. We went through a lot of different demos of music as well as movies. One of the demos that I chose to play was from Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Now my son and I had previously watched that video just a few days ago in here in the theater room with the SVS Towers, the Center, as well as that dual SB16s. So I knew there were certain scenes that I wanted to show these guys. So I fired up the beginning scene where Tom Cruise is running across the field and jumps onto the plane, and the plane takes off and he's strapped onto the side just hanging on for dear life. And it sounded really, really good. The SB16s did a phenomenal job. It pressurized my room quite well. I have a 13 by 19 with 10-foot ceilings. There was a lot of tactile bass from it. It paired very well with the Ultra Center as well as the Towers. The bass from the SB16s were very tight, very controlled, and it sounded really well balanced here in this room. Now the next demo that we listened to was from the Oro 3D Demonstration Disc Volume 2. Now this is Oro's latest demonstration disc. My Denon rep was able to hook me up with the demonstration disc. Oro's currently out of those, and so they weren't able to locate one, but he was able to find one. So big shout out to him and for Denon for tracking that down for me so that I could use it for my videos as well as for demoing for you guys. So in this disc, there's a lot of great content, but one of them that we chose to listen to was from the movie Inferno. Now during this scene, the guy runs up the stairs, and as he runs right to the edge and to the ledge, he looks down, and at that moment, there's just this big bass drop that kind of starts high and works its way down to a really, really low frequency. Now we were listening to almost reference level, somewhere close to that, so we were close to 0 dB on the receiver, and when it hit that really low note, honestly, the SB16s kind of struggled with that. The bass kind of sounded floppy. It was almost as if the woofer was over-excurting. It just didn't sound clean. It wasn't tight like we had been experiencing with the other content. Now this is the same sound that I heard 2 other times previously. One when I was watching Super 8 during the train wreck scene. There was a really low note there, and I heard both the dual SB16s. They had that same sound. It just wasn't a good sound. The other time that we heard it was today when we played a song called Bass I Love You. Now that's an old school song back from the 90s from a bass CD, and there's a certain note on there that it hits, it's pretty low, and we could see the woofer just going crazy. I mean, you probably had 2 inches of excursion, and once again, during that low frequency, the SB16s just struggled at that decent of volume. The receiver was sitting somewhere close to 0 dB. Inside the receiver, the trim on the subwoofers were set at 0 dB, and then on the subwoofers themselves, the volume was set at -10 dB. And so apparently that was just a little too much for those frequencies. Most of the time they sounded incredible, they sounded great, but just during those really, really low notes, they just kind of struggled with that. So we found their limitation. Every speaker has a limitations, and it wasn't that we were just driving them like crazy. This was normal reference level, really high volume, but it was just pretty loud. Every speaker has their limitations, and with the SB16s, that was really the only one that we found, is during really low frequencies at a pretty significant volume, not too loud, but talking close to reference level and not having our trims set too high or the volume on the subwoofer set too high, it just reached its capacity. But other than that, they sounded great. They pressurized my room well, they're very tight, and they just got a great sound to them for movies. So after about an hour with the SB16s, we proceeded into the living room to bring in the dual PB16s. We got those hooked up and went through some of the same exact demos that we had done with the dual SB16s. Now about a month ago, I went over to a friend's house and he had the dual PB16s. It was the first time I'd ever heard them, and he played for me the beginning scene to Dunkirk, and it absolutely shocked me. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do the same thing to these guys. So I put in Dunkirk, we raised it up to about 0 dB on the receiver, and had the subwoofer set at -10, and I just kind of was looking out of the corner of my eye to see what these guys, their reaction. And when that first gunshot hits, it's startling. And I even asked the guys, what did you think about that? And he said, man, that startled me when that first gunshot exploded and then they just started blasting. Holy cow. I'm talking, that was intense in my room. Very same experience that I experienced over at Nelson's in his room. The PB16s had so much authority and power. And the best way that I can describe it was controlled violence. I mean, it was just like abrupt, in your face. You felt it and you're like almost holding your breath going, holy cow, what did we just experience? It was phenomenal. We had a great time with that demo. Later we watched the same scene from Inferno that we had done previously with the SB16s, where they had not quite sounded so great during that low note. The PB16 Ultras handled that with no problem. They didn't bottom out, they didn't sound muddy, it didn't sound unclean. It was just, it was intense, man. It was really, really awesome. We played some various music scenes, and of course, just awesome authority. I mean, the amount of air, there were many times my legs, I could just feel the air just flooding out of the ports. We also tried different configurations with the ports. So because the PB13 has 3 ports, they also come with 3 port plugs. So you can choose to customize the sound with the PB16s based on your listening preference. So we tried some demo content with all the ports open. We tried some content with one of the ports plugged, and then we tried some content with all of the ports plugged. Now keep in mind, anytime that you add plugs to the ports, you need to change it within the subwoofer and let the subwoofer know that that's what you've done. So what we did is we went into the SVS app, which I highly recommend. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link in the card above. You can check out that video. That is an amazing feature. So within the app, you're able to tell it which way you have it configured, whether you have all the ports open, one port plugged, or all the ports plugged. And so it definitely makes a difference in how it sounds. If you don't change it in the app, you're not going to get as precise sound, and it's not going to sound right. So make sure you do that if you add the port plugs. Our preference overall, definitely with it all sealed, we lost some volume, we lost some output. Definitely sounded really, really clean and very tight, but it wasn't the authoritative slam that we really, really enjoyed with all the ports open. So that's how we preferred it in my room with the demo content that we used it for. So it was getting near the end of the day. We'd already spent almost 5 hours together listening to the SVS speakers and subwoofers. One of the guys made a suggestion. He said, hey, aren't you wanting to hear how they sound behind your screen? And of course I knew that's a lot of work because currently I've got 4 Klipsch RSW15s because we'd have to remove all 4 of those subwoofers. And the PB16s weigh 175 pounds each. Fortunately, there were 3 of us, so it was no problem to get those set up. So we decided, what the heck, let's go ahead and do it and let's hear how they sound. One of the biggest things I was concerned with is it going to shake my screen? Because regardless of how amazing it sounds behind my screen, if I'm watching a movie and I can see the screen just shaking and the picture looks horrible, it's not going to do any good. It's not going to be worth it. So we moved the towers out, moved the center channel down, lifted up my screen, removed the 4 Klipsch RSW15s, replaced those with the dual PB16s, and fired up a couple scenes. Now when we turned off the lights, we could not see any waving of the screen. Everything looked crystal clear, it looked great. So I figured once we turn on the lights, we'd be able to see the screen moving, and of course that was the case. The screen definitely waves a pretty significant amount, but with the lights off, we really didn't see that at all. None of us did. And so there still is a possibility that these may be a good fit behind my screen. And because my Klipsch subwoofers are 15 years old, I definitely love to upgrade my subwoofers, especially getting a subwoofer that can handle below 20 Hertz. The RSW15s are amazing, but once they hit about 30 Hertz, they begin to lose authority pretty quickly. And once they hit 20 Hertz, they pretty much drop like a rock. They don't go below 20 Hertz. I would love to have some new subwoofers that hit at least as hard as they do, pressurize this room as much as they do, but dig a little bit deeper than they do. So I'm definitely in the market for some new subwoofers, so these are definitely a possibility. We did try the SB16s, and I just don't think that's what I'm looking for in my theater room. But the PB16s, they're definitely on the radar for possibility of upgrading here in the Youth Man's theater room. So after the guys left, I did text them and ask them, hey, would you be willing to share with me what your thoughts were now that you've had some time to think about it? What did you really think about the differences between the PB16 and the SB16? So I want to share with you some of their direct thoughts. Here's what they said. One of the guys said that bass was always clean. It never bottomed out, generally pretty tight, though not snappy. Well built, awesome for home theater. No port noise complaints, at least that were discernible over the mains. The PB16s were absolutely no comparison to the SB16s. The SBs were okay, but that's it. With the PB, I've heard higher SPL, but it was like a well-composed earthquake. Man, that's an incredible statement. I thought that was phenomenal. That was a great way to describe what we were hearing with our ears and with our bodies. A well-composed earthquake. It was incredibly violent, but it was controlled violence. It was one of those things where it would hit you, but it was very controlled. It wasn't boomy, it wasn't sloppy, it was just in your face. You felt it, you felt the pressure, and it was awesome. And the other friend said this. He said it moved a ton of air. My chair was shaking the whole time. It's like the IMAX where they have great bass, but it sounded cleaner. Nice, clean, powerful bass. Now the SB16s retail for $2,000 each, so you're looking at $4,000 shipped for both of those. The PB16 on the other hand are $2,500 each, or $5,000 a pair. So although the PB16 and SB16 subwoofers aren't the least expensive on the market, I can see why they cost so much. Number one, they've got great output, they sound amazing, they've got great build quality. These things are gorgeous. I haven't seen the wood finish, but the piano black are stunning and beautiful. The rounded corners on the subs just look phenomenal. The grill is metal. You can control and tweak the subwoofers in a lot of different ways using the Svs App, which is incredible. Both of these subwoofers were slam. Now before we compared the SB16 to the PB16, I really wondered in my mind, is the PB16 really worth $500 more than the SB16? And in my opinion, I believe it is. I believe you get a lot more output, you get a lot more headroom, and you get a lot more tactile bass thump in your chest, feel it in your gut with the PB16 than you do with the SB16. Now, which one should you go with? Honestly, it depends on your budget. It also depends on what size is your room. If you've got a lot smaller room, you may only need one. I've heard from a lot of SVS owners that SVS actually recommended them not getting their most expensive subwoofer and instead getting maybe the PB4000. SVS has a lot of different options that'll fit just about every budget. So if you're interested in the SVS products, they're phenomenal, man. I have really enjoyed listening to these and experiencing these for the first time in my own home. The SB16s and especially the PB16 are a force to be reckoned with. They're incredible subwoofers. If you've got the space and if you've got the budget, I definitely would recommend go for the bigger PB16. If your space is more limited, as you saw earlier in the video, the SB16 has a much smaller footprint, and it also will save you $500 for the single, or if you bought a pair of them, it'd save you $1,000. It also depends on what will you be using it for. If you're listening to music, you may not need the extra slam. You just may want something that sounds great, fills in those bottom octaves, and blends well with your mains. And the SB16 may be just perfect for your setup. If you're like me and you love watching movies and you want to really feel it and you want to experience it, I can tell you this, when we were watching the scene from Rogue Nation, the PB16 made us feel like we were actually in the movie, like we were Tom Cruise hanging on to the outside of a plane while this whole thing is shaking. And then once he goes inside the plane and you hear this rumble of the jets and the engine and the bay door opens up and you've got all this wind coming in, man, we were experiencing it big time with the PB16. So the PB16 definitely gives my biggest thumbs up. The SB16, they're great. I have no problem with those. To me, they just lack hitting those really, really deep notes if you like to listen to it loud. If you don't like to listen to it as loud, they'll have no problem handling those notes. All right, guys, well, that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. Also, man, I encourage you to share the video with people on your social media platforms, as well as your friends and family members that might also be interested in this type of content. And if you guys are interested in purchasing the SVS products, I'll post links in the description below. I'm an SVS affiliate, so if you purchase through my links, SVS will provide a small commission to me for referring you to them. And of course, that will definitely help out this channel and allow me to provide more content just like this in future videos. And as I mentioned, I'll be doing more videos on the SVS products, especially on the towers and the center. I haven't really shared with you much about my thoughts on how they perform, so I'll save that for another video. Well, guys, I hope you have a blessed week, and we'll catch you in the next video.